Okay, this is passage 7, and it looks like we've got a couple of tables. One table looks pretty involved. This table here, this has just got 4 different mediums in K. This has got a little diagram. I'm just going to read the first few sentences because none of it looks I can understand it at all. Identical spheres X and Y had electrical charge, and the spheres are here and here. Electrical charges Qx and Qy respectively throughout each of 13 trials. So 13 trials are down here. There's the trials there. The spheres remained fastened to the horizontal floor of a vessel, a distance of d apart, with x due east of y. Okay, well that didn't make much clearer, so let me just bash on with the questions then. And again, I don't really understand it, and if you don't understand it, do not panic. 9 times out of 10, even the most difficult question you'll be able to work out, even if you don't really understand what's going on. So let's go on with the questions. 36, based on table 1. So that's going to be step 1, find that. And the results of trial 1. Okay, we're going to have to find trial 1 and trials 1 through 13. That's step 3. As k increased, fx did what? So look at k, it'll be number 4, and then find what fx is and what it's doing. So, step 1, table 1, right here. Results of trial 1 is here, and trials 1 through 13 are down here. As k increased, so k is here, and it's getting bigger, so we can see that k is increasing here. Fx, so I don't know what fx is, and it seems it's explained here. X exerting an electrical force of magnitude Fy on that, Y exerting an electrical force of magnitude Fx. So Y and you write F. Y on X equals Fx. I'll just write the other one. So X on Y equals Fy, because I'm sure I'm going to need that later on. So now we've found everything. Now we just have to see what it's doing. So as K increased, so K is air, and then we've got PET. So air is here, it's 0.23, then 0.1, 0.05, 0.03. So as K increased, which is air, polyethylene, transformer, oil, and neoprene, the FX thing got smaller. Right, it started at 0.23, it went to 0.1, 0.05, 0.3, so it decreased. A wee bit involved for a first question, but again, if you just take it step by step, don't overthink it, that's what it is. Right, suppose that sphere X had become unfastened from the floor. Not sure why that changes it. Of the vessel during trials 1 and 7. Alright, so that's going to be step 1 is find that. During which of these trials would sphere X more likely have undergone the lesser amount of acceleration? Okay, I don't really get that, but let me just read the answers to see if it helps me. Trial 1, because the magnitude of the electrical force exerted by Y on X was greater in trial 1 than in trial 7. Well, we saw from the last question that Y on X is Fx, so we're looking at this. We're looking at this column here, right? Fx. And we're looking at trials 1, and we're looking at trial 7. So that kind of has helped clarify what I'm looking at. So I just have to find which one of these is right. So trial 1, because the magnitude of the electrical force exerted by Fx was greater in trial 1, it was 0.23. In trial 7, it was 0.9. So that's wrong. What's B? Trial 1, because Fx was less in trial 1 than in trial 7, and that's true. So that one stays. Lesser amount of acceleration. Okay. Trial 7, because the magnitude, the fx, we know that this whole thing, this magnitude of whatever is just fx, was greater in trial 7 than it was in trial 1. But if it's greater, then we're asking for the lesser amount of acceleration. So that isn't right either, because it says trial 7, it was greater than in trial 1, but this is a bigger number, so that's wrong. We're looking for the lesser one. Trial 7, because the fx was less than in trial 7 than trial 1. No, it wasn't less than. But yeah, it's a wee bit difficult to understand there, but it's B, because we're looking for trial 1 with a lesser kind of electrical force here, and so B is the only one that actually fills all the criteria. A wee bit difficult, but I think we've got the right answer. 38. In which of the 13 trials, how did the magnitude of the electrical force exerted on sphere X, by sphere X on Y, so X on Y we said is Fy, compared to the magnitude of the force exerted by, so we're basically in the 13 trials, how did Fx, which is this, compare to Fy, which is Y on X. So we've got Fx here, we're going to look at this table here, we're looking at that and that. How did it compare? Alright, for this first bit, they're the same. 45, 45, 60. Oh, it looks like they're the same all the way. They're exactly the same. These two columns are exactly the same for every single trial. So where do we find that? Magnitude was greater, no. Was less, no. Was the same, cannot be determined, no. We know it's the same, so it's H. That was so much easier than the last question. I didn't mean to take that off, but there we go. 39. Suppose that in each trial either electrons or protons had been added to each sphere to produce its charge. In trial 3, we're looking here, which of the two types of particles would have been added to sphere X, and which of the two types would have been added to sphere Y? Oof. So I'm just going to read this. The vessel was filled with a medium having a dielectric constant K, ability to modify electrical force. It says nothing. Okay, this is an outside knowledge one, because the passage says nothing about electrons and protons. So we look at trial 3. That's our step 1 is defined that. So step 1. So trial 3, Qx was the electrical charge for sphere X, and Qy is the electrical charge for sphere Y. So trial 3, we see here Qx, so sphere X has a negative charge and Qy has a positive. And this is an outside knowledge question. You just need to know that electrons are negative and protons have a positive charge. So if X is negative, then it had electrons. So that's A and C are right, B and D are wrong. And then Qy, sphere Y, is over here is positive, so it would have protons. Electrons are negative, protons. So we need electrons, protons, and that is A. Again, a wee bit tricky if you don't remember your chemistry, but yeah, it's an outside knowledge question. Right, oh, lordy. Here we go. Question 40. In trial 9, so that'll be the first thing, find trial 9. The electrical force exerted by Y on X, remember that's Fx. And the electrical force exerted by X on Y, that's Fy, were exerted in which directions? In trial 9, right, the electrical thing are both positive. And 90. So we know from up here that X, when it's, I guess when it's positive, goes east, and Y is going west. Again, that's a pretty tricky one. This was a hard. I mean, other people would find it, I know, it's ridiculously easy, but it's not as obvious as a lot of these questions. So it is electrical force. X is east, so F and G stay in, H and J go out, and Y would be positive. It's west, so it's G. Not the easiest passage, but even not really understanding too much, we managed to get through it.